Careblazer, I was talking to somebody recently who was sharing with me how her loved one with dementia was ignoring her. Now, I want to share this situation because it's incredibly important, and what it does is it shows beautifully how what you think is actually impacting your loved one's behavior. It's impacting the way that you feel, and it's making your caregiving situation much worse or more difficult than it has to be. So if you want to learn the exact framework to make sure that you are not making things more difficult, this is going to be a really great video for you. Even though I'm talking about a situation where the person with dementia is ignoring the caregiver, I want you to insert whatever behavior you're currently struggling with in the place of ignoring the behavior. You can insert any behavior at all that you're dealing with. The same exact formula will apply. Before I hop into that, I do want to let you know tomorrow, Monday, April 18th, I am going live 5 days straight in the most incredible transformational experience you could possibly go through as a dementia caregiver. And that's my Make Caregiving Easier 5-day experience. There's a link below this video, or you can simply go to makecaregivingeasier.com and join. We get started tomorrow. Okay, so in this situation, the caregiver was telling me when she tries to talk to her husband, he ignores her, and it's making her upset. And she's starting to ask him, why are you ignoring me? Why are you doing this? So I had her break down a situation, like tell me exactly a situation where this happened. And she shared that she was recently trying to get her car to be parked in the garage. It was raining. Her husband was standing in the garage, and she was honking her horn to get him to move. And he just stood there. And eventually he kind of looked up, and she kind of gave him the wave to move out of the way, and he just looked back down on his phone. And she told me, he's ignoring me. What do I do? After the whole situation, like when he was finally moved and she finally got the car parked into the garage, she asked him, why are you ignoring me? Now, this assumes, like notice how this caregiver is interpreting the behavior as ignoring when it could mean so many things. So the first lesson I want all of you to apply to your situation is, what story are you making it mean? What are you making it mean? Whatever the situation is, whether it's they're not showering, they're trying to drive, they're not letting you manage the finances, they're not responding to you when you ask them to move. What are you making that situation mean? And I want you to know that whatever you just answered in your mind, it may not be true. So in this situation, as she's telling me, I'm thinking, well, it was raining outside. We know that weather impacts people with dementia. It could totally increase confusion. We know that you were just honking the horn, so there was no direct communication. Even if somebody has known for 20 years a car horn honk means to move out of the way, in dementia, that may have left them. They may no longer have that understanding. So what you're considering ignoring might actually be complete lack of understanding, not realizing you're trying to get them to do something, increased confusion from weather changes. It might even be diminished hearing. Maybe he didn't hear, right? A lot of times older people in general have challenges with hearing. Add on rain sounds on top of that, it can be really difficult. And then in the moment he lifts his head up and looks through the car window and you're waving him over, did he really see you? Is his vision good enough? Was the rain obstructing it? Were the windshield wipers obstructing it? There are so many different possibilities that were at play here, but notice that the thought that this caregiver had that he's ignoring her, that was just going to make her feel sad. That's what it made her feel. It made her feel sad. That's what she told me, right? And from sadness, right, she started asking him questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you ignoring me? And then that impacted her loved one's behavior, right? He struggled to come up with an answer. He didn't quite seem to remember or know what she was talking about. It led him to feel in distress. So many people, they want the one tip, the one answer, the one strategy. And by using that approach, it means the answer is always outside of you. You're always going to be on a hamster wheel, running and searching for the one piece of information you need for your situation, when in all reality, the biggest answer and the biggest tip is always within you. Let me show you how this works. Let's use the example of the husband ignoring her, as she said. You can insert any behavior you're doing. We always start with the situation. Always, always, always. This is just fact. What I'm teaching you is basic psychology 101. There's a situation. So the fact of the situation here is she honks and waves for her husband to move and he doesn't move, right? So let's say honks, waves, doesn't move, right? Just for purposes of this. That's the situation. Now, every single human being has a thought about a situation. 99% of the people, I'm just making that statistic up, the vast majority of the people, they think the situation causes how they feel, and that is never the case unless your life is in imminent danger. What happens is people have a thought about a situation, okay? So her thought about the situation is, he's ignoring me. That's her thought. How does she feel from that thought? You have the feeling, right? The feeling comes from the thought. She felt sadness, right? I bet some of you watching right now, if somebody had the thought, if somebody was in this situation, you would have a totally different thought, or you would have a totally different feeling. It's because the situation never creates the feeling, okay? I'm looking, this doesn't even look like it's showing up. Hopefully it's doing something for you to be able to understand, right? This is what we're working with here. Now, this is where all the magic happens in dementia care. From the feeling, you are going to take action. This is your action that you are going to take as the caregiver. So she questions her husband, right? She's questioning him. Why are you ignoring me? Then, with dementia, the loved one takes action based on your action, right? So he becomes in distress. He's confused. He says, I don't know. He's thinking something has gone wrong, right? That he's done something wrong. So we think that the situation creates our feelings. That's how most people think about things, right? And then they just start taking action and it's impacting their loved one, not realizing the entire time the thing that's impacting their loved one the most started with their thinking. And you have to ask yourself, is it even true? You think it's true because you thought it, but it's not necessarily true. In this situation, she's making this situation mean he's ignoring her when we could just as easily make it mean something else. We could make it mean he didn't hear me. He didn't see me. Maybe he's more confused by the weather, right? All kinds of things. And just imagine, so if we were to plug this into a different model, if we were just to change the thought, so the situation stays the same, whether you realize it or not, situations are coming at you all the time in life, and you can't do anything about it. The only thing you start having control over is what you want to think about it. Now, if she had the thought, he didn't hear me, how do you think she might feel, right? How would she might feel if he didn't hear me versus he's ignoring me, right? Maybe she might feel a little bit concerned about his hearing loss. Maybe she might feel like neutral or okay, right? So let's just say she felt concerned. We'll just put that. And so instead of feeling sadness, she's feeling concerned. What action would she take from concerned? Right? Notice what happens now. What action is she going to take from concerned? Well, she might look into when his last hearing appointment was. Does he need hearing aids? Does he need ears cleaned, right? She'll start changing her action when she wants to get his attention. She might need to get out of the car next time. When she wants to start getting his attention, she might realize she needs to do it closer to him, face to face, somewhere where he can start reading her lips. All of a sudden, she's going to start taking different action. And what do you think that's going to do for her loved one, right? He's going to feel more heard. He's not going to be feeling in distress or confused or like he did something he wasn't supposed to do, right? All of a sudden, this interaction that made her sad and made him in distress, all of a sudden leads her to a little bit of a concern, but it has her scheduling hearing appointments, has her asking questions of the doctors if he needs to have ears cleaned or the hearing aids checked, and her husband is feeling heard and like he's not having to realize anything is wrong at all. What most people don't realize is that the challenging behavior or the difficult behavior that the person with dementia is doing is stemming because of the thought that the caregiver is having. You are having a thought that is impacting how you feel, which is going to impact how you act, which is going to impact your loved one's action. Whether you realize it or not, this is always at play, 100% of the time, in every situation you're having with your loved one. So the question naturally becomes, are your thoughts helping your loved one or hurting them? Right? If you have the thought, let's just play around here, you have the thought, he's doing this on purpose. Right? They have the thought, he's doing this on purpose. How might you feel? You might feel frustrated, maybe even angry or resentful, right? What are you going to do when you're frustrated? You might still continue to question. You might be short-tempered, right? You might not be looking for moments of connection, right? You might be accusing them of things. How do you think that's going to impact the person with dementia, right? They're going to get upset. They're going to argue. They're going to want to move away from you. They're not going to want to connect with you. All the while, we're making the situation worse. So what I want to say here, even though I'm using the example of somebody thinking their loved one ignored them, whatever your loved one is doing has a purpose. It has a meaning. They're trying to communicate something. And so long as your thoughts have something to do about them trying to ignore you, hurt you, doing things on purpose, them being frustrating, hard to deal with, right? As long as that's what you're thinking, you're never going to find the solution. In fact, that very thought is going to make things so much worse because it's going to negatively impact your loved one with dementia. So if you want to start seeing some positive changes, you have to start by changing your thought. That's the only thing you have 100% control over. So many people are stuck on the situation, trying to change the situation. How much luck have you had trying to change the world around you, trying to change exactly what people say, exactly what people do? I can literally talk for hours and hours about all the various situations that happen in the world and how you have zero control over it, yet you're focused entirely on the situation and not on your thinking about it, right? Your neighbor not doing what you want them to do, your kids not doing what you want them to do, your spouse not doing what you want them to do, your parent not doing what you want them to do. All of these things, right? The change happens once you start changing your thought. I always find it so interesting how we want the person with dementia to change so badly. We're so frustrated. We want the person with dementia to change, yet we haven't even stopped to think, well, maybe I can start the change. And you can. I 100% believe it. This proves it. This is always happening. It's just that nobody is teaching it. Because most people, especially most people like searching on the internet for some quick tip, they're just looking for the sentence to say or the approach to take. And you know, based on the hundreds of free videos I have here, I certainly share all of those things. But if you find yourself struggling because you haven't quite found the right tip or the right strategy, you have to go to the foundation and you have to start with your thought here, Careblazer. This is so incredibly important. Okay, I'm going to end there for now. Let me know. I think this was kind of a mess. Would you like me to lay out more of this? Would you like me to go over more examples, how this truly plays out in the day-to-day life of a caregiver caring for somebody with dementia? Let me know in the comments. If this intrigues you and you can see like this is true, I can see how this kind of works, I need more information, and you're ready to apply this to your life right now, join me starting tomorrow for the Make Caregiving Easier Experience. I'm going to walk you through this process. I'm going to help you apply it to your life. I'm going to help you stop accidentally, inadvertently, unconsciously making things so much worse for your loved one, because you know that only makes things harder for you. All right, Careblazer, I am sending you so much love. I'm sending so much love to the Careblazer who came to me with this situation. I'm so glad we were able to work through this together. Much luck, brighter days ahead for each and every one of you. All right, bye.